Ron Howard, Brian Grazer, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
Psyched to be here with you.
I want to talk about your 35-year collaboration and how you and your business have evolved as the industry has changed. Do you mind setting the table? Start me at the beginning.
At the beginning?
Yeah.
Because
Explosively successful.
well, I mean,
we started as underdogs.
It has been a journey, but it is also it's very interesting to me because we are becoming the thing that, in my mind, was sort of the original dream, the possibility of it as a company. Right. I always thought of it two ways. I thought of it as kind of how can it service me as an artist, as a storyteller, and help sort of protect me and nourish me and create leverage for me. And then what is it to be a part of a company? What can the company be as a team, as an entity? At one point, we started talking to each other, and we realized we had about 25 development deals between us, all over Hollywood. And now, to service that, we were in the car 3 and 4 times a day, driving to these meetings that were the endless to try to sell
Burbank,
projects.
to go to Columbia Pictures, then you're over in Culver City, to go to Sony, and you're just like...
We just said, man, what if we could just dump this all in one room
Centralize
and stay
it.
there together and work on it all together? Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be a simple idea? Wouldn't we make more projects and make them better? And it was that simple idea. But Brian, who has a better business head than I'll ever have, had a sense of how to perhaps get a thing like that financed.
So as Ron said, we had many different projects. We had to find ways to do time management. And so time management meant how do we centralize this? We thought if we raise money and we could leverage our energy and our minds and our skill sets and our idea capital. We thought to optimize our idea capital was to go public. And we had a few people that championed that idea. We ended up going public. Stock goes, it's priced at $8. It goes from $8 to $21 in a minute. A bunch of people made money, flipped it, then it settled to a realistic price. And going public, we were warned of a few things, but we didn't follow those warnings. And we're warned that if you raise a bunch of money, better know how you're going to deploy it. And so we knew we wanted to deploy it on content, something we knew, television, movies, long form, things that involved narrative storytelling. But we had investors and people from the bleachers yelling, buy radio stations.
Buy assets.
Yeah, buy assets. We didn't want to buy radio stations.
We didn't know how to run them.
And we weren't interested in radio stations. It just doesn't interest us.
Right. The other thing that started to happen is that the business model, how we were going to make money, the rights we were going to be able to control and continue to control, that shifted. As the cost of movies started going up, we started having to sell in advance some of these rights that we were holding to sort of build up our library. So now the public entity was being driven by fees. That wasn't very practical, and we recognized that, and we were able to make a deal and to basically to buy the company back.
Well, we bought it back with our own money. Right. So we bought the company back, and there was an angel on our shoulders because we were able to buy it back. We didn't have any problems. We bought it back at a little bit of a plus for the shareholders.
And I would say that our deal as producers and me as a director and so forth was much better because it was the economics that we'd established when we had some money.
That's true.
And so we carried that deal into a deal where we actually were no longer actually having to put money into the project.
So we took our new formed images and brought them forward, and our new formed images carried a compensation system that was better than it was prior to that.
Well, talk to me about how you're thinking as you separated from your longtime distributor, Universal, and began to and raised money so that you could begin to make more projects than perhaps the studios were seeking from you. So talk me through this process, the decision process, and how that's changed the sorts of projects that you can undertake.
We've always liked a lot of different kinds of movies. The way we were structured, we had movie partners, we had television partners, and it was great. We had good rapport with them. We did a lot of good work with them, but their focus was growing more and more narrow, and our interests were broadening, and they always had been. And so there was friction there. And at a certain point, we realized, wow, we can actually take this thing. In the past, we've had to, sort of with our left hand or the pinky finger of our left hand, work on a documentary or a children's program, because it wasn't really what our partners wanted us to be doing. And so we could flip that and work with those showrunners and directors and writers and draw on our own ideas and use money
And create communities.
to create a community that could do more of that in a more dynamic way. And it sort of sounds kind of simple, but with some resources. And this climate, it's turned out to be very powerful because we're organizing the project, basically packaging it, and then going and finding the partners who most enthusiastically want it. Not just, as you said, with the check, but with like the vision of their company to work in concert with us to make these shows or movies really take flight.
Brian, I think one great illustration is your work with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Do you mind talking about the evolution of that project?
Sure. So basically, now in the movie in our movie division and our television to some degree, we use the money that we've raised to just bet on original voices, meaning people that have originality, that find their source, and so bet on those people. So we bet on a girl named Julio. Julio, she was 27 years old.
A young executive.
And she was a young executive for us, and she said, I don't want to work under a bunch of people. And I said, well,
she wants to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah, don't leave Imagine, stay here, don't go someplace else. We will just bet on you. And so we bet on Julie and many other people that are passionate and people that we believe in. In the case of Julio, she came to me with a project called Tick, Tick, Boom, which was a Broadway musical written by Jonathan Larson. Jonathan Larson also wrote a very gigantic hit musical called Rent. She presents it to me. I said, improve your hand, case build this so I want to do it. She comes back, she has Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's really improving.
Who had
it.
performed it and loved it, and of course loved Rent and everything about it and that story, and came from film school before.
And had a deep connection to it, exactly.
A deep connection, and is a brilliant guy. And
So I say to Julie, we will underwrite this.
Meaning he wants to
love
direct.
this.
He wants to direct his first movie.
Yes. And so, so I say to Julie, that's amazing, that blows our minds, we're in, what do you need? We need money to pay for the script, we need money to get the rights, the Jonathan Larson estate, all these things cost money. Right. We say, we'll pay for all of that. So now we've got a script, we have a star, Andrew Garfield, who's gonna be amazing. We went around in a van and we do like we do on television shows. For 2 days, we go to every movie studio that's really interested. We go to Warner Brothers, we go to Universal, we went to Sony, we went to Amazon, we went to Netflix, we went to a couple other streamers.
High-end independents also.
Yeah, yes, high-end independents, that's very relevant. And we had some very good meetings, but some meetings just, led the pack. And they led the pack by they're willing to, compete in this market. Bottom line is, all of a sudden a streamer started competing with another streamer, and it found its way up, to upwards towards 50 million.
And then it's not development. It's not the Hollywood development hell that we've all heard about. It's not in this sort of stuck in this quagmire. It's a go movie. I've always felt like the Hollywood development system was flawed, and it was the opposite of what talent really needs, which is to sort of be liberated and to have some leverage. And I've experimented with different ways of sort of liberating that development process from studios and networks where projects get paid for, and that's kind of comforting for everybody, but it's a trap. You're then stuck in a system that moves at its own pace or not at all. I never quite knew how to shape it. I experimented with it a little bit, and Brian came back, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, with this really inspired take on how to make that happen.
So we thought what we would do is create a content accelerator, meaning because quality content is in even higher demand today with Disney and AT&T and Comcast all competing against one another at very high stakes to get the best stuff. We thought if we started a content accelerator, much like the startup accelerator, and have a boot camp and allow the whole world to be opened up. Because we've seen in our career people from other countries that you just disregard. Some of these people have amazing voices, and these amazing voices have no bridge to Hollywood. So we thought if we make it open to the world,
it creates a market for their ideas, and we actually pay them. So this is not them working for free.
Yeah.
We create an environment where they can
that
survive.
if you get into input, if you get into the boot camp, we pay them.
Where are you taking Imagine Entertainment? What is your vision for the company that sort of allows you to tell your stories in your way?
I think right now we're just sort of pursuing this and seeing where it can take us. You know, it's exciting, and it's still all changing. But we do know story is king, and we can build these collaborations, keep building, you know, these income
I mean,
streams.
we've had, you know, opportunities to monetize our company by selling it, but then we wonder, like, what are we going to do the next day?
we like doing this.
So if the right, you know, it's more like we really like what we're doing. We like living in the moment. We like telling stories on a grand scale, and
for years it was us with some good executives and executives that we had relationships with, but it was kind of small. What's happening now is it's just the collaborations are growing. He's talked about Julio, and so it's not just us. It's not lonely. It's a community of like-minded people really getting stuff done, and that's pretty fun to be around. Pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thank you both for your time.
For sure.
I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.